sponsor. Welcome to COASTER-net Uncut.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of COASTER-net Uncut. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois, and as you can see, we are here at Holiday World, right in front of the brand new wing rider, Thunderbird. Of course, I'm here with
Danny Miller, Rochester, New York, and we got our free soft drinks here.
Oh, we got the free soft drinks already for sure. And we have a very special guest with us tonight. You may know him from negativeg.com. He is Mr. Paul Drabek.
Howdy, everybody.
And tonight, I think we're just going to sit here for a little bit. We're right here at Hollywood Nights.
Hollywood Nights.
Hollywood
Yes.
Nights.
Don't say Hollywood Nights.
Don't say Hollywood.
Don't say Hollywood Nights.
Let's go to Hollywood anyway.
Yeah. So we are here for Hollywood Nights, and we are here to talk about Thunderbird and talk about this awesome park. So Paul, you used to live like 5 minutes away from the park.
No, not 5 minutes, like 500 yards away from the park. You can hear the raven screams from my front porch. The front porch, where the wind was blowing that way. So yeah, I lived here from I think 2002 to 2007, and started coming here mid-90s when it was a teeny park.
Man,
I mean,
humble beginnings.
Very. I mean, you would run into the same people all over the park. I mean, it really was just kind of, it felt like going into your grandmother's house. It was just weird. Everybody knew everybody there. It was kind of cool.
It's like a second home for you.
Well, it was when we moved here because it was my playground. My son Bond, his playground growing up.
Sure.
I mean, it was, we would call over for pizza and order out pizza from here and leave. I mean, we use season pass to get in, buy our pizza, go home. And it'll still be nice and warm.
That's cool.
Now, when at the very beginning of your memory, what coasters were here?
Raven,
that's it?
Raven, that was it. When they had their enthusiast event, it was one night, Raven. That was it. No other rides going.
Ravenwood Nights.
Yes. So yeah, it was. They just gotten rid of. They had a steel coaster like a Zyklon over where.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other night. How they used to have
that was gone the year before I got there, before I first came, and then they just had the Raven. One ride I do miss is they had the most awesome falling star ever, where Hollow Swings is. It was the Banshee. Oh my God, you could ride it by yourself and slide.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's interesting how much it's changed, but it's still home. I mean, I've been away for 8 years now, and we come back, and it's like, God, I missed it. It's like, you walk in the gates, and it's like, I'm here, I'm where I should be. When Thunderbird opened, I called my wife up and said, "Can we move back?" Actually, that kind of burned her out on amusement parks, having this right next door.
Oh, sure. I could imagine coming here every day. Now, you had a lot of great experiences here when Voyage was first being built.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, what kind of things did you get to do?
Well, first off, I knew before everybody else did, because a friend who works in the county called up and said, "Yeah, guess who came in and applied for a permit for a wooden roller coaster today?" And I knew all the employees, knew all the ride-ups. Great ride-up parties, oh my God. But that's a little bit too uncut, can't quite get into some of the things that happen. But, I was here down in Splash and Safari, got photos of the first tree getting cut down.
Oh, wow.
And just through the whole thing, watched them do the work, got to do construction tours. Paul would take us back there every once in a while. I would hang out back there on the highway and just watch the coaster get built. And Paul would drive by and scream, "Geek!" Hi, Paul.
Oh, that's great.
And we sat there and just watched everything, put updates on my sites. And, when I saw the first coaster train testing on their webcam, I sped over here and got my camera out and was taking pictures. And it was actually, I left Bond's birthday party. It was his third birthday party. Fifth birthday party, and came over here to get pictures of the coaster.
Oh man, that's classic. That is
awesome.
Great.
And I can still remember my first trip here, and it's just something special about this park. Like, it's not huge, but it's just the people, I think, is what it is.
It is. My first trip here actually was an accident, because we lived in Charleston, Illinois, and I was going. Carrie said, "You need to go ride coasters. Go to Kentucky Kingdom." And I'm on the highway, and I'm like, do I really want to drive the extra hour to Louisville and drive the hour back? I'm like, no, I'll just go to Holiday World and check it out. And it was just, oh my God, I rode the Raven and it was like a religious experience.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then I ran into Will, and he was being interviewed by the Fox, of the Fox affiliate. They just hit 50,000 people for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Which is just shocking. They're what, 1.5, something like that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I live
Huge
6
numbers.
hours away now, and everyone comes here.
Yes.
Which is just wonderful. And just that whole visit was Raven, but everything else. And when I went to the gate to buy my ticket, I had a Walt Disney World fanny pack, and the people gave me crap about it.
Well.
And I kept running into them for the rest of the day. Go back to Disney World.
Oh, boy.
They were so much fun. And then Will was just, I miss him so much.
Yeah.
That's kind of a hard thing back here, because I used to run into him all over town when we lived here, in the grocery store. He and I, for the Bahari, they had a little media preview there, and we were just back there talking. All the media people left. Will and I were there for like 4 hours talking coasters, geeking out. I mean, just, it was so much fun. He'd be loving this place. I'm loving they got the Willpower steam.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. And I remember, because, I like your site a lot. I like
you.
Negative G. And I remember, I believe you had this awesome story about the first year after he was gone. And you were talking about the Hollywood Nights and what it meant to you, and how it was so difficult for you to come back here.
It was very hard because it was. I miss his geeking out. Yeah. Because he was totally a coaster enthusiast. I mean, and he got to play with them in real life. Yeah. And it was, the place has changed a bit. Back when I first started coming, every manager knew everybody in the park. It was such a small park, and everyone was really, really like a family. They still are, but it is, there's a little bit more distance between the bottom and the top, and I don't think there's as much. But you can't stop that from happening. Yeah. It's not ever going to be this little bitty family park that everyone knows everybody.
Because it's got to get bigger. Because to get better, it's got to get bigger.
Yep.
That was
and we
Will's
talk
dream.
about that, how it's got to compete.
Yeah,
it's got to compete.
Will's dream was to grow this, and I know his plan was to grow it well beyond their current attendance. Be over 2 million, and they're going to do it because I I love the parks that I go to elsewhere in the Midwest, but this is my favorite place to go. And sadly, I don't get back here enough. This year, I haven't been back for 4 years, and came back for the media day, and then came back for this, and I'm like, I got to come back again. I
said that again, and I was actually just on the phone with my parents, and I said, I got to bring my sister to this event, because my first trip here was 2012. It was Labor Day weekend, and most people remember that. That was the weekend of Hurricane Isaac. And it was absolutely dreadful, pouring rain. Yeah. And we stayed in Lexington overnight because we were at Kings Island the day before. And we called up Holiday World on the way there, and we're like, are you guys even going to be open today? They said, there's no lightning in the forecast, it's wet, but everything's open. And we rode everything over and over and over again in the rain, and it was just so unbelievable.
Legend Media Day. Oh my, you want to talk about rain? It was, they graphite all over the tracks. I'm wearing a white Legend shirt. And just the heaviest downpour outside of a hurricane outside of Texas that I felt came down. Just coated with graphite all over, greasy, nasty, but it was so amazing. Also, side note for that is, right before you got to the tunnel at the bottom of the first drop, there was a tree with a branch that came out there, and if you were in the left side, you ducked. It was gone the next day. Scared the crap out of all.
Could you imagine that?
Maybe
and
that's
Will
the
was like,
tree I was talking about.
Yeah. They've trimmed that back way, because it was right there.
Wow.
Yeah. And they just was like, oh yeah, we got to trim that.
But you kind of get that sort of feeling if you're on the left side on the turnaround of the voyage.
Left side over there, and left side on all the coasters here, because Thunderbird left side. Yeah. Oh my God, the 0G roll there, and the back there when you're on the ground.
Absolutely,
and everything.
I was really pleased with that. If we start getting into the Thunderbird talk a little bit here, I was really pleased with. You saw some of the videos from the spring, and because the trees hadn't grown in yet, and it looked like it's kind of out in the open. It's not. No. It's really well hidden.
Even from the media preview today, the trees are just budding out. Yeah. And now they're all out, and it's just wonderful going under the trees.
It's really nice.
And a side note is that if you go you can see it over by Hollow Dogs Funtown if you take the train that goes around Hollow Dogs Funtown. when you go back where you can see out towards the highway, there used to be no trees there at all. Okay, and about 10 years ago, Will spent a large portion of budget putting 500 trees around this park.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was all about saving the trees and having a nice shade here. And it was funny, we were at the media preview, and Paul and I are back there, and Will's daughters are back there, and they're chatting to themselves, and we're just within earshot, and they're like, they say to each other, you know, it's nice we were able to save these trees. And Paul just looks at me and goes, yeah, who would have said that? I'm like, yeah, I know, Will. You know, they even moved some of the buildings right around here on Thunderbird to keep that tree there.
Wow.
Oh, really?
You know, which, I mean, you got huge oak trees. You know, it just adds to the fun. I hate it when they parks clear cut everything.
Yeah.
And put a ride like in a barren spot. Use the terrain. Use Mother Nature, man. It's beautiful. It adds to the ride.
Absolutely. That's some of your best rides. I mean, we talked about this last night. We said, you know, I think to a certain point you could say that almost any roller coaster is a little better at night.
Yes.
But there's a certain element of, I think, livelihood, and it almost feels like rides that go through the woods, like all the ones here do. They almost feel like they have a soul. They have like a
Yes.
heartbeat.
Well, you know, it's almost like, you know, Zen or Feng Shui. You know,
Yeah.
You know, the coasters that flow like that and use their environment as part of the ride, it just makes it better. I mean, I hate the cold copy. You know,
It's so much
let's
better
make
than
a
a
ride,
parking
just
lot
slap
coaster.
it down. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know.
The parking lot.
Six Flags.
coaster.
Oh, it's uncut, so you know.
It's uncut.
You know, I mean, that's something they will never do here. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Because and they've got this great hilly terrain around here. They've got the woods, which they keep. Although I'm not sure how far they can go that way with hitting the campground and stuff. But still, you know, they use what they've got and they make it fun.
And it's just amazing what they've done with this ride. That to start talking about Thunderbird, like you said, it's about to launch here. With
Yeah,
some
we're
nice
starting
people
the
on it.
ERT starting to go, so we're gonna have Thunderbird going behind us.
So
That's great.
I've been on X-Flight. I've been on Gatekeeper.
Everyone's having a great.
And this ride, I don't know, it kind of took me by surprise because something that upset me is I heard people from Media Day, from the opening week, saying that, you know, it didn't have that oomph to it. It didn't have that something
I
special.
don't know where they were because they weren't. I was here and it was kicking my butt.
Disagree.
I'll tell you what, I couldn't disagree anymore. This launch on here, like we said before, a lot of launches shoot you out real quick, but then kind of peter off, slow
they
down
get to the
towards
top
the top.
speed and they kind of stay there.
This one gets
builds
faster.
the entire
Yes.
way.
And actually, it feels about you get about 2/3 of the way down, and there's almost a little bit more of a kick to it.
Absolutely.
Like a second launch bit.
And sometimes launches, I find that most launches are better in the very front row or the first few
I
rows.
go for the back, actually.
Really?
Yes, I love the back on this one.
Well, on this one, yeah, but on
Yes.
other
Yes, on
launches,
others, yeah, no, you want the
front.
front.
This one, I don't think there's a bad seat for the launch on it at all.
No, you
That-
know, the front is neat because you've got the mist there.
Yeah.
And you can't see anything when you go through it and it disorients you a little
Right.
bit. And that, you know, adds to a thrill, especially for a first-time rider. You know, go in the front seat because, that'll just...
Yeah.
You're going to go, ugh. You know,
Well,
it's
and
just-
it was funny because yesterday on the way down here, we were listening to the episode of Coaster Radio that
Okay.
they did, and EB said that he liked being inside a building and being launched out of
Yes,
a physical
love that.
space because so many launch coasters take you out of the station and then they park you outside,
Yes.
and you
Yes.
kind of lose that sense of speed right away. Thunderbird, they take you out of the station, but they put you in this, not quite a show building.
It's like a loft, you know, barn. Just
and
kind of
you have the
pre-launch.
lights
Yes.
with the lightning, and you have the fog, and you're being launched out of an actual building,
Yes.
and then you're going out into the daylight, or as it's
Yeah,
going to be
nice.
soon,
Beautiful.
nighttime, and it just feels different going from an actual building out into open air.
And also, you know, I love the theming in there because it looks like the barn that's collapsing.
Uh-huh.
It's got the
Yeah.
sound, the rumble, and they got great bass.
And they
going
have
up
it
there.
underneath in the queue line too, with
Yes,
the lights
and
that
the lights
flicker,
are flickering.
and that's
Even
really
all the
cool.
way around
Yeah.
here, the lights over here flicker too.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so much fun. Of course, that might be the electrical system around here. when they put in Voyage, I lived here. They took the town's power out a couple times. So, you know.
Well, you know, I kind of said this morning when we were walking through the bottom of the queue, I said, "Oh, look at the lights are flickering. Is that just from
Is
the
that
launch,
planned,
or is that
or-
planned, or just a happy circumstance?" But it's pretty sure it's planned that way.
But yeah, it's nice that they're able to do more theming now. You know, you go back to the old part of the park. Well, it is the world's oldest theme park.
Yeah.
It's not heavy-duty theming because they were a family park on a budget. You know, I mean, really go up there in the old part, there's not heavy theming, but they were just doing it on a budget. back here they've grown big enough where they're able to really do some nice theming. I mean, there's great stuff in the queue line. Actually, there's insider jokes, not jokes, but insider little tidbits in the queue line if you look at the signs.
Okay.
For example, Hevron's Mercantile, the store there, Joe Hevron was one of the management people here for years from like the starts. There are several people. There's a Berg mentioned there. Brandon Berg used to work here.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm thinking,
little Easter eggs.
Exactly.
Like
yeah. Oh yeah. They're Easter eggs through the queue, and it's really kind of neat that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so you got the Willpower Steam Engine Company.
Absolutely.
Us Coastal
That's
going,
great.
yeah, it will. You know, but no one else was going to really picking that up. But you know, they're able to do so much more here than they used to. Because you know, I love the Voyage, but the theming for it is. Okay, we got to go to Pier 1 Imports because we're opening tomorrow. Let's get all the nautical stuff they've got.
And it's kind of like it's like cutesy theming, whereas this seems to be like a step
real.
up from
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, the whole station looks awesome. I mean, when I first came up here, I was like, that's too cool.
And,
Yeah.
and the fly-through barn, a lot like Media Day, I know it wasn't painted yet. Now
No.
it's painted, and it looks more. It matches the station. It's that
Yes.
reddish brown.
I love
color
the jazz
now.
hands.
Yeah.
Everybody goes, like, jazz hands.
It's like you're trying to put your hands through it. It's like hole in the wall. I don't know if you ever
Yes.
saw that Asian game show.
Yes.
It was a
Yes.
Japanese game
Yes.
show called Hole in the Wall. It
That
reminded me of
Takeshi's
that.
Castle, which was
Now, you know, I think the obvious answer on this one that the best element's probably the launch. But what's your favorite part other than the launch?
Actually, I don't think the launch is the best element.
Really?
No, I love Immelmann's. I'm an Immelmann junkie. It's my favorite loop. But the roll back over there where you've got the tree, especially if you're on the left side,
Yeah.
it rolls up and you've got the trees above you and surrounding you. That's my favorite part of it. It's just such a, you know, you're there surrounded by awesome nature. It's, you know, speeding through there. And at night, when you've got the moon and the stars and you look up and see those, love that.
Well, I'll tell you what. The moon last night for ERT was
cool.
amazing.
It was
amazing.
almost it was like a 3/4 moon.
Yeah.
And especially on Voyage, you could kind of see the track.
Yes.
But not too much.
You know,
that it ruined it.
You know, they used to do this, schedule the events around the moon cycle to get when it was pitch black.
Oh yeah.
And that's, I mean, on the trains are. Actually, my old side note that you guys might get a laugh out of. Way back in the day when the Raven had manual brakes, the last ride of the night, turn the lights off and open it so you went through the station, slowed you down, but you did not stop, and went back around and up. And when you're coming back towards the station and you see nothing but pitch black, it's like, I knew all the ride, but then you're coming back and you're like, there's no light there.
That would have been awesome.
They don't do that
that's a
anymore,
ride.
But that was way back in the day.
Yeah, that would be an
That sounds
awesome
like something I
experience.
saw at Mount Olympus the other. I didn't tell you this.
No.
It was raining, and I think they were training a new employee and teaching her how to turn the brakes on and off. And it was raining. She didn't turn the brakes on Zeus on quite enough, so it came down and went through the station at a pretty good clip and went back around and went right through the station.
Her face is like pale.
And we were waiting to get on it, and we were like, I don't know if they planned on
I
it
think
to
I'm going
do
to
that.
ride something else now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, gotta love Mount Olympus.
Yes.
Gotta love them.
Interesting place.
Very, very much so. You know, my favorite thing is right before you hit the barn, there's this little dip that, that if you're on the left side, it's kind of like you hop down, but if you're on the right side, you like get pushed up.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's just such a unique element out there. And I think the whole, like, I knew what the launch, people were raving about the launch,
Yes.
but I didn't realize what the other half of the ride was going to be like. That just the positive G's that you get on there,
Yes.
it's really different than all the other wing riders out there. I think.
And the high turns are really a lot of fun. You know, I mean, several people after Media Day were like, "Oh, we don't get that. That's boring." And I'm like, "No, it's a bird. They're flying around on the thermals." And one of the second one is if you look to the left, you're circling around a tree.
Yeah.
It's got that one point where, like, your wings pointed right through, just room right around it. I mean, that's just kind of cool and fun.
It's part of the story. And I think, for me, I think we were talking about this before we started.
Yes.
I think for me, you knew the launch would probably be pretty good.
Yes.
You knew the Immelmann and the loop would probably be pretty good.
Exactly.
For me, and you knew that the fly-through barn at the end would be pretty good. For me, it was it would make this either a good ride or a great ride is how well those horseshoe turns work and that zero G work. And I think they work really well. And for me, Now, I know we talked about, the different wing coasters we've been on. I've been on all 4 of the U.S. ones now, Wild Eagle, X-Flight, Gatekeeper, and now this one. I think this is the best of all 4.
No, I've only been on X-Flights. Love X-Flight, but this is just so much better.
It really is.
It's different. It breaks the mold. We were talking earlier today about how, the wing, we don't think maybe the wing coaster has been doing everything that maybe it can do. And this, I think, really takes it the next step and does something that's a little bit different, and still does the things that X-Flight and Gatekeeper did well with the fly-throughs. And it really
it's got the fly-throughs, but it's got the terrain as well. I think the terrain
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've seen Wild Eagle and it looks fun. It's not as much of a terrain. It doesn't take in effect all the little bit dips and things. This one does.
It goes to the top of a mountain and kind of stays
It's
there.
like a parking lot coaster on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, and this, Will actually did part of the design work on this before he passed away. I don't know if you
Really?
guys
I did not know that.
I knew
this
that
this is Will's last project that he was working on, and was working on it for years. So, I know Will, and I knew he was probably out there walking around figuring out, okay, I want this to do this here, this to do this here, and this. He had this whole area planned out. When they first put in Thanksgiving, they had the walkway drawn off to where it went this way, and then it just kind of ended. I said, Will, what's going over there? Can't tell you. Actually, I was also at the city council planning meeting when they got this whole area zoned for amusement. I'm like, huh, what you doing with that going to be a zone amusement? It's kind of a ways away from the park.
You'll find out in a decade.
It's just such a great ride, like I said.
Yes.
That and we talk about the keyholes too. The second fly through,
If you're
it
on the
took me by
left wing,
surprise.
it's really spectacular.
Yes.
And I think the best of any of the other. I think maybe not the first one, but the second one when you're on the left wing, just because of the way you go through it and how it really comes up on you.
Yes.
Because like the X-Flight one, when you go through the control tower, there's a big turnaround and then there's kind of a big lead-in and you can see it coming.
Yeah,
when you do the Helix, you don't see that barn and then it's just there. It's just there.
It actually scared me the first time I was on it. It actually took me by
You
surprise.
and I both let out we were like, oh! One of those.
Like it was, and like usually like rides don't do that to me, but this one got me. I was really surprised. It's so cool.
Well, and it's like you knew so much about it coming in. I think maybe enthusiasts like us, we get jaded at times. You know so much about the ride before you ride it.
You can
It's
watch a
hard
ride,
for something to surprise you.
Yeah, you can watch a ride and go, I know how that's going to feel. I see where they're having airtime there and airtime there and air. Yeah, but yes, it's nice when the ride surprises you, and this one definitely was. I purposely did not watch much of the video footage that came out and stuff before, because I was like, no, I just want to be able to enjoy it.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely has a lot of surprises. It's just a ton of fun.
Yeah, it really.
You don't see people coming into the station looking mad.
Absolutely.
It's
and how
joy.
how many people did we see here today? Just overhear people saying how much they loved Thunderbird.
I did have several people when the media day came out said, "Oh, you're just a Holiday World fanboy." And it's like,
no,
I am, but I didn't like Pilgrim's Plunge or Giraffica. Horrible name. Hated Giraffica. I'm glad it's gone. But if it's not great, I'm gonna be honest. And this, I loved it. And I'm glad people are now here riding and going, wow, it is really good. I know.
It really is, and I think it's going to do really well in our Thrilling 32 next year.
I think it will.
Everyone that I've seen here that helped out with our poll this year is really, really loving this ride.
You know what? I'm still debating if this, I always debate between Gatekeeper, X-Flight. It's hard for me to tell. And this one's right in the mix. I think I'm with you. I think this is the best of the three.
And I was sitting in our hotel room last night. I was like, you know what? I was like, Andy, I think Thunderbird, I think I like it better than Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I really do. And you look at the stats, it doesn't have quite the height, it doesn't have the speed, the train's smaller, but it's the better ride.
This is Holiday World. The Raven, when it opens, no stats at all.
At all.
It's still one of the best coasters in the world.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be big to be better. And
Absolutely.
that was one of Will's things. And, this park is not huge.
Well,
it's not giant, but it's better.
And we talked about that last night, after riding all 4 rides, several times. I turned to him and I said, you know what? All 3 wooden coasters last night were running good enough to be top
yes.
5 wooden coasters. All 3 of them.
I couldn't believe it last night.
It was we were winded. We were tight. We rode this 4 times.
I
We rode
bruised.
Yes.
Raven and Legend twice each, and Voyage 6 times.
Yeah.
We were winded. We were tired. We were sweating. Like it felt like we had just run a marathon.
Well, that's because you have. I mean, think about how your heart's going boom, boom, boom.
They're physically demanding, but not in a bad way.
No, they're
so much fun.
Well, you know, the thing is, there's the physically demanding beat you up, and these are physically demanding. You have to work to stay in position if you're gonna have your hands in the air.
Sure.
Yes,
I mean, you learn, but it's still fun and it doesn't kill you.
And that's why I said, like, when you ride Voyage, it feels like you've done something. It's like you haven't just sat down for the last 3 minutes. You've done
You
something.
know, the beautiful thing is you remember those rides.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, I live in 6 hours away in the middle of nowhere. Everyone knows I'm a coaster enthusiast. Everyone around, like within a 20-mile radius, and they're like, "That Voyage is really something," is, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's my number
is.
2. Outlaw Run beat it." Sorry.
Really?
Yes,
Really?
Outlaw Run.
Oh.
It's a little bit more out of control. It's shorter, but it's just that. There's just a little bit more insanity to it, but Voyage is still my baby. I mean, it's by hair. It's not by a large margin.
Yes.
See, we were saying last night, we rode it 6 times altogether, and the 5th ride we had was in the front seat. We didn't get slowed down on the brakes at all, and we had a pretty heavy train. I was kind of
Yes.
surprised that we didn't get slowed down at all, but it literally felt like we were going to come off the tracks towards the end of that second, and that was like a pitch black ride. Like that was what 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Like, and we got off that ride, and I looked at him 4 times during the ride. We went through a turn, and I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me right now?" During the ride, I was like, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding me right now?"
You know, I remember when I got off of Outlaw Run the first time, I said to myself, this might be better than Voyage. But after last night, I just can't say it anymore. It's
a hair. It's a real fine line. It's hard to tell some of the sentimental Voyage thing because seeing everything going up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a bunch of the guys who worked on it lived across the street from me when they were working on it.
Sure.
And, you know, so I mean, yeah, it was hard saying that, but it's just a hair for me.
This
But still, you
this
can't
park
get any
is
better
something.
than coming here on a nice summer night and getting to ride it till midnight. I mean, other coasters here, it's like,
And we talked about that way back in, was it January? I think we did a show where we talked about our most anticipated rides, and we had Thunderbird, I think, as our collective list. I think we had it number 2 in our entire list of 2015 rides, and we said, you know, and maybe Thunderbird's good enough to be number 2, but all by itself. But we said part of it was the fact that we get to come back here to ride.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that adds to the whole thing.
And it's part of their, you know, Will always said it was part of their mission statement. It's like welcoming someone into your home, and that's what it feels like
they
when
do
you
that
come
with
here.
their training.
Absolutely.
Because no, they tell everyone, you treat everyone here like this is their home. This is your home and their family. And, you know, I mean, he loves taking care of his coaster enthusiast family. I mean, the guy had a blast with us, and he's sitting there looking down tonight, going, "Yeah, they're loving it."
Absolutely. It's well, when someone shows up to your house, would you welcome them in? You would offer them a drink.
Exactly.
You know, we got our free drinks right here. And you know, what would you do when someone came to your house? And that's what they do here.
Yes.
And it's really awesome.
It's kind of funny for me a little bit because I used to know all the ride ops. I mean, knew them all well. They would, you know, some of them, you know, offered to babysit Bond. You know, a couple of them offered to marry Bond when he got 18. Yeah, but I go to the ride operators. I go to Kentucky Kingdom with the ride ops. Now, that was funny because they'd start sweeping things. They'd be picking trash up and throwing it. This could kill us if we did this. But you know, it's weird because I come back and I don't know any ride ops anymore.
Yeah.
But I know all the managers because all the ride ups from when I was here have become
now
the
managers.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, thank you for coming here tonight.
Great time having us.
No, we gotta ride this later.
Absolutely.
We're gonna ride this later, and tonight there's a big Blackhawks game on tonight, so I know I'm gonna be talking.
Check the
Yeah,
score.
we should check that score before.
Go on.
Yeah. Now this guy's a Washington Caps fan.
Well, you know what? Now that the
Blackhawks
Rangers,
1-0.
now that the Rangers lost, I don't care if Chicago wins at this point.
Blackhawks roll. I mean, you gotta love them. You know, they've got amazing players. They're fun to watch.
Good players that are good people too. It seems like that's the thing.
Yes, and another minor plus here for Holiday World. free Wi-Fi so we can use this and check the game out.
There you go.
Score.
Free Wi-Fi is a good thing.
It's a good place.
Free Wi-Fi is
So,
always a great thing.
thank you so
no
much.
problem, guys. Anytime you guys want me on, I'll come on and
Absolutely.
shoot the shit with you guys. So, hey.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you again.
Yes.
Great
Yes.
seeing you here.
We'll see you up there.
Absolutely.
We'll see you up there
We'll
in a
be up
second.
shortly, for sure.
See you guys later.
Thanks. So, it's just everything about this park just brings people together, and it's like he was saying that every time you go up onto a station or into a shop, they ask you how your day is. They ask you what you've been doing. But you know what? It's not like people just asking you questions. It's
not fake.
It's not fake. It's genuine. People here actually care about how your day is going, and that was the thing that I experienced the very first time I came here. And I think that's what really sold me on Holiday World, was the care and the love that you could feel from the people working here. Like, it's just an amazing place to be.
It is.
And I think at this point, maybe we should talk about where we think the park is going to go. I know we don't have a lot of time here because, as you guys can see, the sun is setting, getting a little dark out here. So we want to kind of wrap this up real quick for you guys. It's a little bit of a shorter show for Uncut, but you know what? I think it's been a great show so far.
Absolutely.
And I think we need to look at where this park is going.
Yeah, and you just talked about it, and the customer service, when they check your harness, they say have fun.
Yeah.
They don't say checked or clear. They say have fun or enjoy your ride.
Absolutely.
And it's real. And you get the sense, when I was here for the first time and it was raining, people out in the rains, picking up trash, saying, hey, are you guys having a good day? When it's pouring down rain, we're soaked, but they still, and as long as they keep that, I think no matter where they go, they're still going to be successful. But if we're going to talk about where this place goes, I think we've talked about this big space behind us.
Yeah, there's a huge space. Now, we're going to put up some pictures in a second here, but you're going to see that this park has a ton of space left. And if you don't know this, but the walk out here to Thunderbird is quite the hike.
It's quite the walk up from Voyage.
And there's not much in between from here to Voyage. So there's
you have
obviously...
Crow's Nest, and Hyena Falls is back there, but that's part of Splash and Safari, so it's not really on the walk up there. You kind of have to go into Splash and Safari, then come around.
And obviously something's going to go there. Now, I think the most obvious answer is probably a water park expansion. That we were looking at the map, and right now Hyena Falls behind us, it's kind of like off on its own little island. It's real lonely. Yeah. And I almost think that the next step in this park is probably to do a water park expansion again, and maybe almost have like two separate water parks.
Yeah, like part of the same entity, but almost two separate areas.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, because Will would always say, the coasters have been part of the growth. He said this on an old 2005 episode of Coaster Radio. He said, the coasters are part of the growth, but the water park has always been the focus. In the heat of the summer, people come to the water park and they go to the water park. And that's actually what more people come for in the summer, not necessarily the roller coasters. So it would make sense that maybe we see a lot of water park stuff here. Maybe you see a flat ride or two thrown in.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a good mix. They have a big area, where the Pilgrims plunge Giraffica Splashdown pool, which is still there.
Yes,
so
still there.
Maybe they can make use of that. Maybe another coaster down the line. Maybe they use it for a water attraction. I don't know.
Now, do you think that this park is going to build another huge coaster? Now, because you had said something earlier that made a lot of sense to me about what you'd rather see than another huge addition in the recent times.
Because we talked about this on the trip down here.
Yeah.
We said, what is it that Holiday World always needed? From the time they built Voyage, everyone said they need a steel coaster. They need a steel coaster. It's a great park. They have great rides. They have a great atmosphere. They have great customer service. But it just feels like something is missing. And with Thunderbird, they have that standout signature steel roller coaster experience. And with that, with the addition of Thunderbird, now comes along another question. What's next? And people are thinking, well, Thunderbird is such a great steel coaster. Can they do another one? and make it as good or better. And what I think I would rather see, because this rounds out the collection so well, rather than quickly turning around in maybe 4 or 5 years and building another big steel coaster, I'd rather see them sink the money into maintaining Voyage,
Yes.
Legend, and Raven, and you see the new wood on all 3 coasters,
Yes.
and you see it regularly, and you see it across the entire track, and you see them replacing parts of the train, you see them maintaining the train, you see them doing all these great things to the wooden roller coasters to keep them rideable, to keep them great, and like we said, at night, keeping them to be top 10, top 5 wooden coasters, and I would rather see that than see them start to just build coasters, build rides, and not take care of those rides.
Yes.
If it takes 10 years to get another big roller coaster, I'm okay with that. If the 4 that are here stay as good as they are right now, or maybe become even better,
Yes.
because they're taking care of them. And they've done that since they built Raven in 1995, 20 years ago. They've taken such great care of all their rides, all their roller coasters, and I hope they continue to do so.
And you look at Raven. Raven was running as good last night as probably it's ever run in its life.
Absolutely. It's the Raven, Legend, Voyage, after last night, all top 10, maybe top 5 wooden roller coasters if you ride them at night,
Absolutely.
at their fiercest, in the condition.
Now, I'm not saying that we're never going to see another steel coaster here at Holiday World.
I think eventually we will.
Maybe 10, 15 years down the line. I don't know what this park is planning, but maybe down the line you see maybe something like a Giga or a Hyper, maybe in the 4th of July area, maybe something, because there's a huge plot of land next to the park
at all this land
that's not being used for anything right now, and you got to think, if Will was planning out this area long ago, how long was he planning out that area for too?
Absolutely, and it's a shame how long, and I never got to meet Will.
Yeah.
And I really wish I would have had the chance to meet Will. And he sounds like such a great guy from what everyone says and what everyone talks about and how he felt about this place. It's just, you wish you could have met a guy like that. And he was a coaster enthusiast. When coaster enthusiasts get involved in building rides, you get rides like these.
Yes.
You get great roller coasters like this that are well taken care of, well maintained. And I really wish that he was still around. And I can speak for everyone when I say that we really wish he was still physically here. He's still here with us spiritually, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
Especially with Thunderbird here.
And as you can see, we're losing light here as the minutes pass by, so we're going to wrap it up here. But some final thoughts on this. If you were questioning Thunderbird, and I kind of said, when we did the 2015 most anticipated ride show, I kind of said, you know what, Thunderbird's high on my list. I think I ranked it at number 2.
Sure.
And I said it's because of what this coaster means to this park. It's bringing this park into a different level, into a different echelon. That now, it was good before, but it was known as a wood coaster park.
Yes.
That you had 3 top-of-the-line wood coasters in Raven, Legend, and Voyage. Now you have a top-of-the-line steel coaster. That for all those people, for all the naysayers out there, this is a legitimate ride.
Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, it's not going to be in my top 5. That's not what this is meant to be. It's going to be in my top 30, though. It's going to be up there.
It's in my top 25, I think, already.
I have to look at, I kept saying to you, I have a live ranking system. I got to look at my live ranking system.
It's going on your fridge.
It's going on my fridge. I got the magnet already purchased. It's going up there. It's going to be on the list. And as much as I thought that this ride was anticipated, I didn't know it was going to make the fridge or not. I was anticipating for what this coaster meant to this park. What I wasn't anticipating was what this coaster meant to coasters.
Absolutely.
That this launch...
This is a big step.
This launch here, I think, sets the bar for launches. As much as I love Dragster's launch, it peters off at the end. It dies at the end. It's a fantastic launch. This one, though...
I think this takes you more by surprise.
It takes you by surprise. It's B&M's first launch, and I really think it's something special.
It is.
And then the rest of the ride, like Paul was saying, it's themed to the Thunderbird. That's why I fell in love with Prowler at Worlds of Fun. That Prowler stats-wise doesn't look impressive, but it's because it's themed to the Prowler, to a Black Panther. That's what makes that ride so great. That when you pounce at the end back and forth, it's like I feel like that, and I get that sense on Thunderbird that I feel like I'm on the wings of a bird.
Absolutely.
Whereas I haven't felt like that on any of the other wing coasters yet. I haven't been on Wild Eagle, but I definitely haven't felt like that on X-Flight, and I haven't felt like that on Gatekeeper.
No, and you're right. This is the next step. And we talked about how this coaster is Holiday World saying, you know what, we're here. You know, Kentucky Kingdom is back open about an hour away.
Yes.
We said Holiday World needed to do something to say, hey, we're not going away. We're not just going to rest back on our laurels. And they put in this ride that's not only a great ride for them, it's a great ride for coasters in general.
Yes.
Like you said, it's a fantastic coaster. It's a step in a new direction, I think, because it is America's first launch wing coaster. It's B&M's first real launch coaster. You know, talk about Hulk, the launch wasn't done by them. And we said, you know what? Maybe B&M hasn't done a launch because they're not comfortable with their system yet. If they're doing it, they're obviously comfortable enough with the reliability. I haven't seen this down once
Not
for mechanical
once.
reasons
Not
our
once.
entire weekend here. And, you know, knock on wood here a little bit that I didn't jinx it right there because we're going to go ride it in a few minutes. But I really think that it just in general, I think they got it right.
Yes, absolutely. They got Thunderbird right. It's a beautiful addition to the park, and I have to suggest to all you people out there, if you want a great experience, you have to ride Thunderbird.
I think so. You know, you always hear, oh, this park has a hit on their hands. You hear it at every media day. You hear it every time you have one of these special events, and you always hear, it's a great ride. It's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit. They hit a home run. They've got a hit on their hands. But you know what? You know what?
This is it.
They just got it right.
This is it.
They flat out nailed it.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that will wrap us up here for episode number 26 of COASTER-net Uncut. As always, thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Rabarczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm Danny Miller from Rochester, New York.
And as always, ride on, Ride Warriors.
See you next time. All right.